This meeting is called to order in the Administration Building, 17 Ariel Road, Blackwood, New Jersey. Notices of this meeting were forwarded to the Courier Post, Clerk of the Township, and District website, and members of the Board of Education, and posted in the Board of Education offices at 17 Ariel Road, Blenheim, New Jersey. Please note that this board meeting may be audio videotaped. Please stand for the flag salute.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Santino,
Here.
Mrs. Galnick, Mrs. Gore,
Here.
Mr. Hutchinson,
Here.
Mrs. Maskey,
Here.
Mr. Pildes,
Here.
Mr. Tercey,
Here.
Mrs. Henry,
Here.
Mrs. Johnson.
Here. Mrs. Gallinek had a work commitment. So at this time, can we have a report and presentation by the business administrator, please?
A little bit, have this hooked up over here.
You want me to move?
No, you can sit in my seat if you want.
I think I see it.
All right, now you can hear me. Good evening. This is the people to see me also. This is the 2026-2027 budget presentation. The budget process always begins in like December. And if you look back at the minutes, the board approves like a budget calendar, usually begins in December, meeting with principals, sending out information to the principals, to the supervisors. And what they do is give them about a month to send things back to me. Stuff comes back to me probably in December, meet as an administration with the central administration to go over it. And then we start meeting with the board as on a committee basis. So the board's finance committee met 3 times regarding this budget. So before I get into it, I wanted to talk about some of the things that happened in this budget. This budget was very unusual for a number of reasons. Every year we put in what's called surplus into the budget. This year our surplus was $2.5 million down. So right out of the gate, we were $2.5 million in the hole. And then healthcare increases, not just for us, but for anybody, whether you were in public employment or private employment, was an incredible cost. If you're in a state health benefit plan, those increases were 31 and 32%. For us, they were 17.63. And it doesn't sound, I mean, it sounds like a big number, but when you talk about it in dollars and cents, it's a huge number. It was like $4.6 million. So when you start coupling all those things, there's a loss in revenue of $2.5 million, $4.6 million in healthcare, raises for all the employees are $2.6 million. When you start coupling all that together, along with some special ed increases, which were substantial, and I will talk about that later, we started the year with like $10 million in the hole. So everyone says, oh, you got $4 million from the state. Yeah, I was 10 million in the hole, so there was a lot to cover here. So the finance committee met several times, went over a couple different scenarios. The administration met many times regarding how we're going to close that gap. And the gap was closed for a number of different ways of either increase in revenue by tax increases or reducing the budget by expenses. So we're going to cover that in this budget right now. So let me get started with that. The budget's arranged by these type of things. It's enrollments by grade level. There's revenues by category. We're going to look at some select appropriations by category, tax levy information, and some highlights that are actually included in the budget. So when you look at the grade levels, we do this every year. These are the grade levels by year, but you'll notice for next year, it's not this year, but for next year, that pre-K enrollment's actually going to go up because we're starting to actually, you're allowed to go out and use the providers that are in Gloucester Township. So last year we had one provider. This year we're going to have 3 providers. So when you have providers, you can increase enrollment. And I think that number is going to go up about 72 is what I think from the providers. So that number should grow substantially. And when it grows substantially for us, usually they stay with us and you'll see that enrollment start to happen in kindergarten and whatnot. So this is what our enrollment was as of April 1st. And then I kind of broke it down by school so you can see exactly what the school is. On the bottom, you'll see the orange is the middle school. The top are the elementaries, and you'll see at the top the out-of-district placements. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. They really drive a huge cost within the budget. But you'll see in our middle schools where the largest increase is. And you can see this is going to be posted online, by the way. So for those people looking at it that are watching it on TV, this will be online. You'll be able to see this. 26-27 revenues. Obviously, there's 2 big numbers here: tax levy, and you also see state aid. These are the 2 driving numbers that really fund the budget. And then there's miscellaneous revenues. There's tuition. SEMI is special ed kids that we claim revenue from Medicare for that. Capital reserve money. When times were good, before COVID and after COVID, we had a substantial amount. We do have a substantial amount, and you'll see it in the very last slide, but we used a lot of it putting air conditioning in the schools last year. So the overall budget is 142, 995, 978. This is just a graph of what you just saw. So what stands out? State aid in the orange, and then you see the tax levy in the green. I mean, those 2 things combined really are funding the budget for the schools. Now we're going to go at select appropriations. Regular programs, when you see that, it's exactly what you mean. It's really a kindergarten through 8th grade. Special ed programs are those that are in-house special ed programs. Tuition placements these are mainly special ed. I would say probably 95% of these are special ed placements that are outside the district. So when you look at this is how many special ed placements are inside, and this is how many are outside. And we're going to draw a little bit of that back in, and I'll explain that a little bit later to everyone that's watching this. Relative the same in some areas. You see transportation up, and it's up because of this number right here. When you have more kids that are going outside, it kind of drives more transportation, and that transportation is not cheap. We don't really own that. It's something we contract with outside providers. Employee benefits. I mean, just look over the years. Now, that says 25, but it's really more than 25 when you look at it, because what you're seeing is the general fund, but it's spread over cafeteria, it's spread over latchkey, it's spread over preschool. What you're seeing here is just the general fund. School office technology and administration is down. We did not take anything out of sports at all. I actually see that going up. Capital outlays relatively the same from year to year. Capital reserve is down, as you can see, and we'll explain what this is a little bit later. This is just what you just saw, just in a graph format. So you can kind of see exactly when you're looking at it, exactly where the money's actually going. You see regular programs and special ed programs are here. Employee benefits are here. This little thing, this 2.5 million is broken out into these little areas here. So it kind of gives you like a diagram of what you're looking at for appropriations. So the majority of our money is really going into the kids. Tax levy information. As you can see here, we're going to be asking for the board to approve $3.9 million in taxes, which is a 7% increase. Just so you know, that's what that works out to be. When we started this process, it was 9%. We were able to get it down to 7%. So what does that mean? It's basically on a house that's worth $189,000, which is the average house in Gloucester Township. It's really $150, a little bit less than $150 a year for that. It's basically a 7.7 cent tax increase. When you look at it overall, this is the last 3 years of tax increases, right? This is by month. So really, over the course of 3 years, when you add this up, it's $19.99 per month. You've probably spent more than that just on gas and on Verizon and on your bill at ShopRite than what you have paid just to fund the schools in Gloucester Township. So it may look like a lot, that 7%, but when you look at it over 3 years, $19.99, it's really not, in my opinion, based on what we've seen everywhere else in society. Considering we have over 1,300 employees and over 6,000 kids that go to school here. Some budget highlights that are contained within the budget. I'll read them all for the people who are going to be looking online. New budget continues to offer all programs and services in the present budget. Includes the largest health benefit increase in the district's history. I can say I don't think I've ever remember an increase over 10%, and this was 17.63. That's a large increase, and I don't think many of the schools and towns in New Jersey can have that increase every year and survive. Something has to be done when it comes to health insurance. We did get significant state increases. Establishing new industry programs to eliminate outside tuition, and I talked about that earlier. What that is we have over 100 kids that go out. We looked at how we can bring some of those kids back in because they're very costly when you send them out. Tuition's most of the time is over $100,000 per student. You can have $40,000 per kid just to transport them to the special ed school. We're going to bring a lot of them back. And there's a lot of discussion within the administration exactly how that's going to happen, but it's to save money in the district rather than sending it out. We think we can do it a little bit better here and save money doing it. And it's to stop the bleed that's going out of the district to try and bring the kids back in-house. So a lot of what you see down here, I'll just get to in a minute. The preschool disabled program is positioning from part-time to full-time. That's also part of what we're doing. Normally, when those kids go from pre-K disabled and when they reach kindergarten, they normally go out. We're gonna keep them and hold them back in. That's why you see hiring 5 full-time multiply disabled teachers. We're gonna hire those teachers for those kids that we're bringing back in district. So sounds like a lot, but it's really not. When you were to multiply all those kids that go out and their transportation, we actually saved probably $500,000 doing it. Now, the other administrators are trying to find place in the schools to make it happen, and they think they have. I think it's multiple schools that are going to be affected by this. But if you're a parent and your kid goes to Gloucester Township schools, you want them educated in Gloucester Township schools. You don't want them sent out to a private school. So I think it's a win-win to have those kids come back. If we can have them all come back, I would like that, but I don't think we have the room. Contracted for 2 additional pre-K providers. So we already had Malvern. So we're also going to be, I think it's Step for Purpose, I think on the Black Horse Pike, and the Head Start is the other one that we're contracting with. Also in this budget is we're replacing 6 54-passenger school buses with enhanced audio and video, replacing 3 school vans, trucks with plows and salt spreaders, which we were noticed that was a definite need this winter. A new facilities tractor for better sports field management. So when we look at this right here, school buses have a definite life period. It's 15 years. After 15 years, you have to get rid of them. So we have 6 that are at the 15-year mark. You have to get rid of them. And if we didn't have them by September, we'd be 6 buses short. Same thing goes with the vans. So that comes and goes depending on how we're replacing them. Trucks with plows. I think that's 5 different trucks, but they're different sizes. The facilities tractor is actually a tractor that does 2 things. Not only does it handle sports field in the summertime, but in the winter it has a huge snowplow in the front to do the sidewalks in the schools, because we noted that was an issue also. If you remember earlier, I talked about the 1.5, a little over $1 million for fire alarm replacements. That's where you see that right there. Now, it's a little bit more to do both schools, but we already had some money that was already obligated for fire alarm replacements that were already set aside. So we're going to do 2 of them. And we're always like one day away from seeing if we can actually open school, because I think this year we had a real issue at Lewis. So replacing Lewis and Lilly is first. And then I think after that, we're going to go down the road. I think it's going to be Blackwood, Ariel, and probably Choose, I think, are the last 3. And Lauren Fleming, 4. So last year, if you remember, I think we replaced, it might have been 2 years ago, I think we did 3. We already did Choose. So technology upgrades. We had started this process 3 years ago using federal money. We get a lot of money from the E-rate program, and this is the last piece of it right here that does the rest of the district. After this, we'll be upgraded in every school for switches, going from, I think it's 1 gig to 10 gig in every school. Since a lot of things are happening on the technology side, this was necessary to make sure that kids have the necessary technology to continue learning. Some miscellaneous numbers. The adequacy budget, $18 million. What that means is the state basically says you're really below $18 million, what you're allowed to spend. Seems odd, but that's actually a printout. We're below $18 million of what we're actually allowed to spend. Bank cap for future years is $260,000. And really all that means is it's a 3-year average, and you can actually raise the budget another $260,000 if you wanted to. Amount in capital reserve. So even though you saw some big numbers that we spent on capital reserve over the last 3 years, there's still $4.7 million in capital reserve. And this already includes that fire alarm being replaced. So basically think of that as a savings account. When times are good, we kind of put money aside, the board does, for when we want to do projects in the schools. And then we draw it down from year to year. And really, you can only do that at budget time. Amount of maintenance reserves, same kind of thing, but not as reserved as capital reserve. It means you can do in-house things that keep the warranties active. So same kind of thing. It could be done at budget time. So there's a little bit over $7 million, almost $8 million in those 2 reserve accounts. Emergency reserve is a little bit less. Amount of reserve funds allocated in the budget is $4.4 million. Last year was, I want to say it was 6.7. So I believe that's it. I'll take some questions from the board. I believe the public will have a chance to ask their questions in a minute, but if the board has any questions. Let's
6 buses that we're replacing, what do we do with them? Do we sell them?
Yeah, they get sold. If you go back, I want to say it was either February or March. You look at the agenda. I think we got like $400 a bus. they basically sell them for the scrap. Yeah,
Okay.
they're worthless.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple questions. With regards to the last slide, when you were talking about, the miscellaneous numbers, and you're correct, last year we had 6.7 million, amount of the reserve allocated to the budget. What are the reasons why it's so different? Like last year, we had 20 million below the adequate budget. We had 2.9, for cap, but now we have 260,000. So that's just like a big disparity. And then the amount of capital reserve available for the future last year was 6.7. This year is 4.7. So what is the reason for those large gaps in numbers?
Well, you're asking for things from last year and this year. So last year we actually took money out to do things in I think we did the science rooms, and that brought that cap reserve down.
So basically the for future budgets, so we basically probably use 2.7 of the 2.9. Is that what it's saying? Because we had last year, when you did the presentation, you had presented that we had $2.9 million in bank cap available for future budgets.
Did we lose any?
But now you're saying we have $260,000.
Yeah, what you're going to approve right now shows that you're using a bunch of it.
Okay, so that's,
Yeah, you're using 2.1 or
Okay.
2.2 million of it.
okay, just.
Actually more, it's a lot more than that if you look at it. Yeah.
So just wanted to clarify of, what it was last year to versus this year. And then also last year you had stated that you were gonna do a comparison of enrollment from this year to last year. So I did it for you because I didn't see it on the presentation. Last year we had 6,539 students. This year we have 6,517 students. So
Yeah, it
just a
sounds about right.
slight decrease.
And you would think with all the construction that's actually going on, because everyone sees it, we talk about it. We said we're waiting for like the class sizes to balloon, but they don't. I don't know why that is, but they don't balloon. And we're waiting for it, but we haven't seen it yet. So I don't know if the people that are buying maybe aren't having kids yet, or maybe they're going to private schools, but we haven't seen that ballooning happen. Yeah. We do talk about it though.
And then the other thing that I have is we talk about the highlights. But what are the lowlights of this budget?
Yeah, I mean the low in order to close that gap, there were some lows. I'm gonna say I don't have them off the top of my head, but I'm gonna say there's 7 teachers that are retiring that aren't being filled. So between their benefits, top of the guide salaries, I mean, you're talking like almost $1 million from not filling that. There were some cuts on the curriculum side. Even though they were cuts on the curriculum side, a lot of it is being redirected in some of the title grants. So we saw them actually come out of the budget, but they're actually being directed in some of the title grants. So even though it's a loss on the general fund, we're actually going to see them rise on the grants. And that was maybe almost $1 million there. So there were a couple areas where they actually were reductions, but they were handled within the administration. So when I said there were cuts that were going to be made to special ed, but Dr. Martin came back and said, well, I don't want to do cuts. This is the way I want to handle my reductions. And she actually said, we want to bring the kids back. We're going to fund the teachers through the cost of bringing the kids back. And she actually saved us about $500,000 doing that. So there was a lot of this trying to close that gap. Anything else?
Speak to the administration cut too. I think it needs to be said.
Yes, there was an administration cut on the principal side. I don't think I can elaborate on that right now. We haven't gotten to May yet, so but there were cuts all around.
Can we go over what other cuts and how it's affecting students and teachers so they understand what's happening and how their day-to-day changes? Because what departments specifically are having cuts and seeing cuts, how is that affecting the well-being of everybody? Because I don't see any of that in here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have that to talk about. I think there were some cuts on the intervention specialists, I think. So you're going to see instead of a class size and being 3 or 4, you're going to see go to 5. I think on the elementary side of Spanish, I think you're still going to see it, but I think the class sizes are going to be increased. So what I said on there, everything that was in this budget is still in this budget. You just may have increased enrollment in those areas. Those are the only 2 I can really think of other than that. Because those were the areas that were actually cut. Because most of the cuts to retirees came out of those departments.
Okay. And no back, and we said the ones when you say cuts, we're using the word cut, but we're not backfilling once they
We're not
retire,
we're not backfilling it. That's true.
right? Okay.
I think my observation, 2 observations from this that I would like to see going forward. One, that the public has this on the agenda, like on the website, so therefore they can review it at their leisure. Because we've had 3 days to review this, right? But the public hasn't. So therefore they're not able to look at it, dissect it. Granted, they may be like myself and just be like, oh my God, this is numbers. But there could be, somebody that's really great.
A lot that goes into the numbers, yeah.
Absolutely. The other thing going forward that I would like to see is not only showcase the highlights of the great things that we're doing, but how the why and how are we getting there. So therefore that either A, the board could vote appropriately, and also the public could ask the questions of, how are we getting there to ensure that we're all aligned and stacking hands moving forward. So that's what I would like to see, sitting on this board, or if I was sitting in the public, just having that information.
Any other board questions before we turn it over to the public to have some input? Seeing none, thank you very much. Thank you to the people who are going to be watching this later. And I will leave the microphone on so they don't have to actually put it on.
Thank you. At this time, can I have a motion to open the floor to public comments, please?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Stuart.
Hmm?
You just doing all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstained? Okay, at this point. Anyone in the public like to speak?
Jeff Emerson, GTA president. You talked about low lights, so I want to have some questions about this week. A number of staff, contractor staff, met with administration. We're told about potential changes for next year. Can you tell me what's the reasoning behind the position/time cuts to the elementary Spanish program, as well as the increased job expectations for the elementary counselors?
The Spanish cuts, I believe there were already existing openings that hadn't been filled, and there's decision by the administration to reduce the number of cycles I believe the students are going to get Spanish. So that was the rationale behind that.
And as well for the increased job expectations for the counselors?
I believe there was a meeting. I believe the counselors, since a couple of years ago, we doubled, for all intents and purposes, counseling at each of the buildings. So the counselors will be asked to do some select teaching, I believe, of what used to be called life skills. I think that has been ongoing in a number of elementary schools since the guidance counselors were added. I also think that I believe that Mr. Tro and Mr. Klein had met with counselors this week to explain what the expectations moving forward would be.
I think there was, I don't think it was quite filled in exactly all the way. There's still a lot of questions out there. So what is the current budget
But I think
deficit?
that those questions should be defined and sent back to Mr. Tro and to Mr. Klein, so it doesn't remain nebulous
Yes, that would be
from the
appreciated.
the GTA.
So what is the current budget deficit? Is it $10 million? And where did this surplus of 2.5 million go?
Started at 9.8 million in the hole is what we were. And what you just asked for was special ed placements out of district. That's where that money went. So last year, it happened last year. We had that many more than you're only allowed to budget what you have. So just say I have 140 kids that go out, and this year I have 160. I got to find that 20. You just don't say, oh, well, I'm going to budget an extra 20 just in case they roll in. They don't let you do that. I have to send into the state an actual diagram that shows every kid at every school district that they go to. I can't just put an extra 10 in at 100,000. You actually got to like have where they're going. So this year and last year, that happened to us. I think there was $2 million that we were off plus the transportation. So we actually put that in this year. So this year we actually increased private duty nurses by $440,000, special ed by over $1 million, and transportation by 700,000. So those things combined were actually put in this budget because that's what we have now. We didn't have it last year, but we have it now.
Right. I mean, we did get $4.2 million additional aid from the state. We are not bringing a lot of teachers back, so we got breakage we're going to be saving. How much money will we be saving from the approximately 60 students we're bringing back in district?
I think the number we're saving is about $493,000.
How much does it cost for one student to go
There's
out?
not 60. We're not bringing 60 back. Where'd you get that number?
5 classrooms, 12 kids a classroom?
It's not that many. Some of them are inside, like the pre-K that are rolling up that would normally go out. Some of them are inside. We're bringing back maybe 12 that are coming back. Some that would go out are not going out. I think that's where that is.
All right, and then I know I'm low on time, so let's finish up. I'll say that with the low lights, 3 years ago, we added additional counselors to the elementary schools, with many of these schools rivaling the middle school populations who already had 3 counselors. These counselors were hired to do a clear need for the increasing demands being placed on the current counselors for the students' mental well-being. With this new mandate being placed on counselors, which they're supposed to teach classes as well, which the GTEA believes is going to be an increase in workload. It's going to have them teaching 6 special area classes every other cycle. So if they split that in one cycle, that's 3 classes per counselor, which is 2 hours a day. Each class is going to have to teach every other cycle. Not to mention they're going to need their current duties. They're not going to need prep time. They're going to need guaranteed lunch time. So you're going to at least half their day from the things they're already doing. I don't know if you're aware of everything these miracle workers do in our building and that they're asked to do. But if you're looking to burn them out or look for similar jobs in other districts with half the work, that's the right way to do it. These are the hardest workers in my building. And across everything they do in the district, they drop everything at a moment's notice for countless needs every single day. And if they're in the classroom teaching, I don't know how they're going to perform all these things that they're being asked to do. These counselors now need, as I said, a guaranteed prep time. They're going to need planning time for these classes they're being asked to teach. Many of them don't even have teaching certificates. And just knowing how hard the counselors work in my building, the number of emergencies that arise, I don't know how we're going to work with teachers missing their contractual prep time because they're going to be required to apply for their compensation as well. Not just counseling, I feel cutting Spanish from 40 minutes to 20 minutes is also a detriment to our kids. Spanish language is becoming more and more just part of our culture, and the need for students to know it has never been greater. We all know younger students are, when exposed to a foreign language earlier in their career, learn that language better and are able to retain it better. I'm going to say that, finish with, I will work with the administration if this is budgetary to do what needs to be done to balance the budget. But if this is not budgetary, more just out of convenience, or if it violates law or contract, I implore you to find a better way to do this.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jeff.
Anyone else have any questions? Would like to speak? Okay.
Hi. My name is Allison Vallejo. I'm a librarian over at Mullen School. And my concern, I believe you're adding 5 full-time multiple disabled classrooms, but you're taking away counseling time. And are we considering also the support staff that would need to be part of that? I don't know from this, but it seems like when we bring them in, we're saving money, yes, but are we considering all the supports that those classes need? And I will hope the board will consider that when they're looking, because I'm assuming you have the big numbers, not the spreadsheet. That's all. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Okay, say my name and address.
Yes, please.
Naming this town.
Just down.
Okay, Michelle Bambrick, I'm an Ariel. You mentioned that they were cutting interventionists and that would increase interventionists from having about 3 students per group to about 5 students per group. I am an interventionist and I know with special ed, when we have students in a tier 3 setting, we're not allowed to have more than 3 students in a group because that interferes with the special ed rulings for us to get kids classified in special ed. So that was a little concerning when I heard that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Anyone else like to speak? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the floor to public comments, please?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Stantino,
Yes.
Ms. Gore,
Yes.
Mr. Hutchinson,
Yes.
Mrs. Maschke,
Yes.
Mr. Pellis,
Yes.
Mr. Tercey,
Yes.
Ms. Henry,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yes. Okay, at this time, we are going to go to adoption of the 2026-2027 school budget. Mr. Bilodeau?
Need a motion. Need a motion. You need a motion.
Well, we've gotten there. Okay. Can I get a motion, please, to adopt 2.3A through F, please?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please. Oh, any questions, discussions, comments?
I have some questions and, so the thought process with the public, bringing up this, and this is probably the main factor that I think is truly important, that the public gets this and gets the highs and the lows all at once. So therefore they have the big picture. Spanish is being cut from 40 minutes to 20 minutes. I don't understand what could possibly be taught effectively in 20 minutes. Like how is this possible? Along with another member of the public stating how a tier 3 going from 3 to 5, and that is true, as personally I had a child in tier 3. So are we adopting this budget and then flying the plane, or do we have a clear picture of how this is going to be laid out and that all parties are stacking hands? Like, the purpose of today is to stack hands and go, or the purpose is to say, let's hope and pray?
I don't know quite how to answer that. The budget presented, okay, I believe is sufficient for the 26-27 school year. It meets all academic standards that the state has set forth. And based upon the process that Mr. McCauley went through, $10 million, those budget deficits had to be overcome. State aid only helped a little bit. And you have to remember to protect the core instructional programs. And I believe that has been done, and that is being offered next year here in this district. And some of it that we may talk about ratios tonight, we don't know what those ratios for interventionists might be. Mr. McCauley did say the federal grants Title I specifically, there are going to be additional interventionists hired through federal programs, which are going to, again, be more resources. And we don't know the students in the fall that are going to be in those tiers that you did mention, and how we apply the resources, like Mrs. Bambrick, to them. So that ratio may stand still. Hopefully it does for the betterment of students, but until we know the number of students receiving intervention coupled with the resources that we apply to them, then we're going to find out that ratio.
I have a question. So, or not a question, more of a note. The public comes and they get this packet, but this packet was, like how Dina explained, missing a lot of details, not really showing the big picture. Question from the public says, legally speaking, you can only have X amount of people, and there's the potential of this happening. We don't know that yet, but it sounds too what if or what could happen that I'm a little concerned with that number. Hearing that guidance counselors don't have teaching certs, how can they possibly teach? I don't understand that part as well. That seems a little confusing to me. And honestly, just seeing the big picture of what else is being reduced, even in our previous meetings and going through, the budget was stated this is how it was going to be in a sense versus an actual breakdown or pure input based off of our questions. And given all of the questions that we asked weren't answered as we requested them either. So kind of my comment on that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a comment. Being on the flip side of this, I asked that specific question at the meeting. How is this going to impact teacher counseling time based on what we currently have? And you assured me that by increasing the number of counselors, that time would not be an issue. Am I not right on that?
I actually think the architect of this counseling concept, Mr. Tro's asked to speak on the matter.
Right.
So to alleviate any confusion on what the plan is, Mr. Tro, would you like to speak momentarily on what the plan is? Please.
Thank you. Yeah, I've heard a lot of things said tonight, and while some things it's how you try to explain it. So one of the things that when we brought the counselors on, they had presented to me some concerns about the ratio of students to counselors in the elementary school. And so when we brought them on, one of the things that they also presented to me was a core tenet of the ASCA guidelines, which are the counseling guidelines that the National Association puts out, suggests that guidance counselors should be presenting and participating in what are called Tier 1 interventions, which are whole school lessons. They had talked about the fact that they didn't have time when there was only one counselor in each of the elementary schools. So that was one of the things that they wanted to do. When we brought on the second counselor, we had tried to put that in during what we call health and PE time, which is a time that teachers work with students daily. That was difficult to get it consistent across the district. And so one of the things when this was going on that Mr. Klein and I talked about was the need to solidify the Tier 1 interventions. So the change that we're making is we're moving that into the special area time in the elementary school. During that time that Spanish, half of the time that Spanish met, it's not going to be 20 minutes a class, it's going to be 40 minutes, but instead of every cycle, it's going to be every other cycle. I'll get back to Spanish in just a minute. So the counselors will be doing something that is required of them, which is Tier 1 school-wide lessons that they're going to be providing for students on social emotional well-being, life skills is another way of describing it, all things that are in the ASCA guidelines for counselors. It will be an ungraded class. We talked a little bit about that today with them and confirmed that they wanted. That's always a concern that counselors have. Those were some of the things that we've been talking, some of the minor details that need to be worked out. But they will be working with the students during that time to do activities that they should be doing with all of the students. And that was part of the plan when we brought them on. The Spanish piece, one of the issues that we had, I think Mr. Mercoli mentioned it a little bit, is the fact that we've had 2 unfilled Spanish positions in the elementary school all year. And so we have been borrowing, and stealing, trying to put Band-Aids on the Spanish program in the elementary school to make it work. And so when we had these cuts that we needed to make, we tried to look for a win-win scenario, which was do Spanish the best we can with the staffing that we have, and then trying to get the counseling situation to solidify that while we had cuts to make sure that we could provide a full counseling program without any reduction in staffing and meet all of the demands that a robust counseling program has. Will there need to be some changes? Mr. Emerson has mentioned some of those, and I look forward to working with the association to work through some of those details, but we do believe we can work through those and still maintain the robust program that we need to have in a way that, again, best meets the needs of our students and our community. Not sure if there were any other questions. There were a number of things that were, as far as when it comes to intervention piece, the 5 that Mr. Mercoli talked about a little bit would be probably more in the tier 2. So I'm sure Ms. Bambrick would be able to explain that tier 2 and tier 3 are 2 different tiers. And so when we said the 3 to 5 might be in the tier 2 category, which is within the band that we do have allowances for, and we would be able to do that with the level of intervention staffing that's proposed. And then the tier 3 is 1 to 3. And so we do have many groups that have 1 or 2, and so they might have to bring an additional child on, but they would all still be able to stay within the bands based on the projections that we have for next year.
While you're up there, bringing back Dr. Martin's outside people in, and I brought this up several times, miraculously, we're going to be able to handle it with the 5 new staff, right? That's what you mentioned. Nowhere in there was a one-on-one aid or a support staff. None of this. And they're like, they won't need them. I, being on this end of it, think they will. If you're bringing back a person that was outside classified and you're bringing back to the district, they're going to need some aides, classroom aides.
Often they do. In most cases, aides have been so difficult to procure that
I'm working on it. Don't be
but
saying that.
outside agencies have often asked us and made sure that we had to provide an aide to go with the child to go to the out of district. So those were things that we will have to, based on the IEPs that the students have. I don't have all of those specific details available, but yes, it will involve some additional staffing for those programs. And we will be repurposing some existing staff as well as other changes that are going on. But yeah, there are, a lot of
If
pieces
they're
that go
outside
into doing
placement
that.
and they're coming back, they're going to need some aides. I'm telling you, is that in here?
As Mr. Merkley talked about a little bit, yes, it is in there. But as he talked about a little bit, some of this is more cost avoidance. We have a number of students, particularly in the pre-K to first grade section, where we've just had, Dr. Martin, I know, has talked about it at special services meetings, where we've just had a huge influx of students in those early childhood grades. And so we've had preschoolers that we've had to send out. So we're making some significant changes to the preschool program to try to make sure that it gives us the flexibility we need to meet the needs of students in district. And so that's where a lot of the out of district savings are going to be on prospective preschoolers that we've been sending out that we're going to keep in. So they're not even in the district yet. And then keeping students that were in our preschool program that have often then, once we've gotten to kindergarten and first grade, we haven't had an appropriate program for them. We're expanding there. So most of the expansion is in preschool disabled and K1 MD classrooms. That's where most of the expansion is. I think we're
When
going to
you
be
say
expanding,
you mean bringing them back?
expanding programs.
I'm not talking about the expanding. I'm talking about bringing the ones that are currently out back with an aid.
As Mr. Merkley said, we're talking about 10 to 12 students probably that are actually returning from out-of-district placements. The rest are going to be, and then so you got eighth graders graduating out, going to high school, so they come off the books. And then we've got younger students that are doing, so the net number is going to be, I don't know, it might end up being closer to 20 when you look at the net number, but it's more avoiding those younger students that we've had in. And so we've got some preschool students that have been out of district that we're going to bring back for kindergarten next year is where most of those out of district bringbacks are.
And being reevaluated? Whether IEPs change?
The IEPs all that gets taken care of during the IEP process, correct?
I just don't want to shortchange the kid who gets an aid out of district, gets brought back here and gets told you're not getting an aid because we're trying to save money.
Well, remember, during the IEP process, this will be something where this all gets brought up. And then if they don't agree to come back with the IEP program as is, stay put goes into effect and they remain in their current placement. We still, our legal obligation to provide FAPE does not change regardless of whether they're in district or out of district. So to bring them back, the entire premise is that we have to be able to appropriately educate them, or it wouldn't be a savings at all and arguably worse. And I think we're prepared to do that.
That's what you're promising me. I hope
Wouldn't be
I
asking
hope
otherwise, yeah.
I hope it goes
Yeah.
true
And
because
so,
I'm fighting
so
for the
again,
aid.
so some of the issue, some of the students that have gone out of district, your most extreme cases that end up out of district, in many cases, their programs are too complicated for us to replicate in district. That's why we can't really bring all of them back. But there are a number of them, particularly in preschool and kindergarten, where we had issues where we just didn't have places for them. And so programs that we can replicate, we just didn't have enough seats for them. And that ended up having overflow go out. And so we're expanding our capacity to meet them in district with students that we feel very comfortable that we can meet their needs here.
I hope it's a win-win.
Yeah.
I do. I want to educate them here. Thank you.
Any other questions?
At this time, can we have roll call for approval of items 2.3A through F? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dentino,
I wanted to first just say that the finance committee did work hard with everybody in the district. Cuts were a lot higher and the percentage was a lot higher out to taxpayers. So I do think that the committee did a good job. I also just would like to reiterate that everybody else is saying that the district does stay within all of our legal requirements. I vote yes.
Ms. Gore,
Yes.
Mr. Hutchinson,
Yes.
Mrs. Maschke,
Yes.
Mr. Peldis,
Yes.
Mr. Tercey,
No.
Mrs. Henry.
I want to thank the finance committee for everything that they've done. I know they worked really hard in getting everything to be where we are right now. I can't vote yes or no, so I'm going to abstain.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yes. Okay, at this time, we have the superintendent's reports. Is there anything?
Thank you again, Mrs. Johnson. Yes, I need a motion in a second. This is a requirement for certain cabinet level posts have to go down to the county superintendent. Mr. Cho is one of them, so I need a motion in a second from the board to approve his contract for review. This comes back after the county executive superintendent approves it for one more approval by the board. I didn't make up the rules. We're just following right at this point.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion then, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. This time, is anyone like to, what?
Sorry.
Do we don't need.
No, I interrupted. I apologize.
Okay. At this time, public comments on any item?
No, we gotta vote. Sorry, we need to vote on
Oh.
Tim. We don't have.
We
it
need a
written,
roll,
sorry.
we need a roll call for Tim.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Stantino,
Yes.
Ms. Gore,
Yes.
Mr. Hutchinson.
Yes.
Mrs. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Pillis,
Yes,
Mr. Tercey,
Abstain.
Ms. Henry,
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yes. Okay. At this time, I'd open the floor to public comments on any item. Anyone like to speak? Seeing none, portion is closed. Board member comments. Anyone?
I just wanted to, this is not related to the budget today, but I just wanted to take a minute to congratulate all of the student athletes and coaches from our middle schools. Penn Relays invites all the South Jersey middle schools to come and participate, and they can try to qualify for the 4x100 meter relay championship. This year, our girls team, Mullen placed second overall and Glen Landing placed 7th overall. And our boys, Lewis placed 5th, Glen Landing placed 3rd, and Mullen placed third or first overall in that 4x100 meter relay championship. So I just wanted to congratulate them and their coaches and just say great job.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just want to wish the teachers happy Teacher Appreciation Week. So that is before we meet again. So we have Teacher Appreciation, and to say ditto with Karen and the Penn Relays. I saw the pictures of the parents posting and the proud moments of their relay team. So that was a really cool thing to be a part of and to see.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the administration and the finance committee for all their hard work on getting this budget together. Anyone else?
Yeah, just a quick shout out to the coaches and all these successes of students at Penn Relays. It starts with their leadership. So thank you for all their hard work and effort.
Can I have a motion to adjourn, please? So moved. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're done. The end.
Longer than last year.
Yeah, it was.
Last year was 28 minutes.